Kyle here from All Media Reviews. Here to do. I want to do my mid-season full list, even though we talked about that in the group roundtable. A little more thoroughly, but I'm not doing that yet. Maybe I'll do that in a little bit here. But I did see the band America. Classic band from mostly from the 70s. I've always sort of liked them, but never, and I'm still not that familiar. I remember when I was looking at my Albums of the Year series from the 70s, their self-titled and the second album they did, I didn't have on the list, and I should have. But I mean, the truth is, I probably only know them for their four, five, six best-known songs. You know, classic rock staples per se. A little bit yacht rock. My wife really, she went, kind of on the fence about it, but I remember wanting to see them a few years ago, and I also have a vivid memory of being at Cheapo when it was still on Lake Street, the Minneapolis Cheapo, and meeting someone else there, this woman who kind of reminded my friend Niche. And she was not sure who did the song "Horse with No Name," and I don't even know if I knew that was actually done by America at the time. But I think we figured it out. But I was browsing through the CDs, and this person wasn't. It's like she kind of really reminded me of my friend Niche. But she's like, who's that? I'm looking for that song "Horse with No Name." Who does that? I think she might have looked it up in the Red.net books stations they had there. But anyway, so yeah, then they played like a casino circuit, and over the last few years, I mean, and my wife and we watched a documentary that was on YouTube about them. I can't remember if the members are Dewey Bunnell and Jerry Beckley, and then a previous member was Dan Peek, and I can't remember if it was Dan Peek passed away, became a born-again Christian and passed away. I remember that was part of the documentary. One of the members found faith, or just either that or one of them passed away, I thought. But I'd have to look here on the Wikipedia page. Yeah, okay, Dan Peek died in 2011, so maybe he came back for a reunion at some point. But Dewey was the one that was there. He was he's the lead singer. He's got the real clean, soft voice. Not quite, but a little bit like Nick Drake. And then Jerry Beckley, I'm not sure if he was there. Okay, so they had a 5-member, I think it was 5 members. You had the 3 guys. Dewey was doing most of the lead vocals. Then you had 2 other, and they're all playing acoustic guitars for much of the first part of the set. And then you had a bass player who was playing a lot of lead bass, kind of like Chris Squire or John Tout from Renaissance. Which I've always heard that in some of their sound, the bass lines. And then they had a drummer. The drummer was good. My wife had other thoughts about him, but I thought he was pretty good. He was a little animated at points with some of their music. See, the thing about America to me, just knowing the 5, 6, 7 standards and knowing that many. Only in recent years I've become nostalgic, especially during COVID. And then Jake Rude would play some of their songs during his yacht rock specials. Is I think of them for being really emphasizing acoustic, really clean acoustic guitar, and having that kind of clean yacht rock, or Sunday evening, Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening, and Sunday morning, I suppose. Just kind of laid back, happy, bright, calming. Somewhat uplifting feeling, that kind of, that mood, that tone. Now, I mean, and that's largely true. Kind of like Crosby, Stills, and Nash, and Young, or the Moody Blues to some degree, or Renaissance, or, who's the other band that I was thinking of? I mean, a little like Tull without a flute, Jethro Tull without a flute, and, they're not really prog, but I guess you could say there's progressive moments in their music. I mean, Led Zeppelin 3 I was even thinking about. Or Led Zeppelin 3 still was more rooted in blues. And as much as it emphasizes acoustic parts, it also has a lot of electric. But where I'm getting at, about halfway through the set, those 3 guys, a few of them were playing electric guitars. So it was kind of weird. But even on the electric guitar songs and some of the acoustic, the drums were definitely large on the mix and the bass line. So it's really more about harmonizing together, the vocal harmonies. Um, and I will say that they have had a very good, I don't know how much money they had for their budget to set this up. I'm wondering when they were playing the casino circuit if they had as much. But the Guess Who, that's one of the other bands I was thinking about them a little bit. But who they kind of reminded me of that late 60s, they started in 1970, 70s sort of, I wouldn't call it hippie pastiche or mood and or tone or, and atmosphere, but it has a little bit of that. It feels like you're living in the 70s. You're going back in time to the 70s listening to, and like during COVID when things were dire, it's like trying to get an escape from that, thinking about times from the past, and times have gone by. America's music does that to me, especially some of the ones, like the more standards. But they had like a good, I was saying in terms of their budget, a pretty good video setup, a montage of like America's music used in pop culture. They have a song, a Hollywood song they did, which showed a lot of old school Hollywood, like the Rat Pack, not the Brat Pack, but the Rat Pack. Very synced up well. They had 2 or 3 AI videos, and that I can take or leave. One with a Blue Jay. I wasn't thrilled with that because I'm just never. AI at this point, I think I want if bands and like art is being used for it, I hope it's in limitation. Even Kevin Gilbert's estate, I think, did 1 or 2 videos from AI. Or maybe I'm thinking of what Dr. Spin, Jeff used on his Kevin Gilbert review. But anyway, it's just when they were doing the trailer for Caviar, there was an AI generated video, I believe, and it's something just sort of less genuine when that happens. But let's see here. What the Hollywood song was it? Cornwall Bank / Hollywood. So going over the set list, they played basically all the songs you'd expect them to play. I looked at previous set lists. This is the first night of the tour last night here in Minneapolis. An Escape. I wasn't gonna watch the Trump speech. I don't want anything to do with Trump or the Republicans or any of the national convention, stuff like that. Hulk Hogan was on. This was an Escape. Like, this is a much better alternative to Watch America. But they did Tin Man, they did Ventura Highway. What was the other? Their biggest hits. Those 2. On here, Sister Golden Hair was the last song before the encore. That's one of their bigger hits. Sandman, You Can Do Magic. It's actually a Russ Ballard cover. I've never heard the Russ Ballard version, but that was a yacht. That's the one yacht rock song people think of. It's more, I don't know, textured. And Don't Cross the River and Riverside and I Need You. Those were the gist of their standard the Sandman song. So then they did a couple of covers, and they of course did the encore. They did A Horse with No Name. They were not going to not do that. It's like Toto. They're kind of like Toto in some ways too. I mean, the Toto's maybe a little better musicians, but in terms of the musicianship. But I mean, their band was tight. I was getting really into some of the playing. It didn't go on for too long. It was the right blend of showing some sort of accentuate some of the parts, some of the moods, some of the harmonies in those songs without going on for too long. Songs like, they did 2 covers, California Dreamin', which I guess they've done recently. I was thinking my wife might like that, but she wasn't really so much going for it. And then they did Cinnamon Girl. This is the first time they've ever played that, the Neil Young song. They did a song called Wind Wave, which is not a cover, but they haven't played it since 2011 according to the set list. And Ride On, first song. And this is the Ride On tour, or Rides Again, kind of like Hawthorne. Maybe Hawthorne should cover America, but because Hawthorne rides again. It's the first time they played that Ride On song since 2013. So, and I it was like the Monkees kind of the whole video montage. I mean, it wasn't like it's like maybe a third or maybe half the songs they had background videos. I said a couple of them were AI generated. Unfortunately, the crowd itself. I mean, I knew they have a following. I think that they probably have built a bit of a following with the combination of them playing some of the casinos in recent years. Because I know they played I want to say in Fargo or not Mystic, but they may have played Mystic, but I have to look in the history. A couple times I was thinking I wanted to go see them and drive that far up. It may have been in, what the casino in the Grand Casino in central Minnesota. It might have been up in Hinckley too. I can't remember. Once or twice they were here at the one point, and I kind of wanted to go, but didn't go. But I think that maybe there's been a follow up from that because the crowd at the State Theater was, I mean, I want to say it was rabid, but it was almost capacity. It wasn't fully sold out, I don't think, but I would say it was like 90%, close to that. And unfortunately, the people behind us were yapping a bit too much, you know, and getting the play-by-play wasn't exactly helping, but overall it wasn't terrible. They just played a full set through, too. They didn't take a set break. They played like 90 minutes, and then they did the Horse with No Name cover, Horse with No Name encore. But yeah, it was kind of similar to like one of the Monkees, or Mickey Dolenz plays Celebrates the Monkees, where you have the video montage really supports it, makes it better in some ways, and they sounded good. I mean, this guy, Buckley, whatever his name is, Burnell rather, Dewey sounds good. I mean, I don't know how he's got to be probably in his 70s at this point. Born in 52, yeah. So actually, am I doing the math right? Yeah, he's 72. So, and that's the weird thing. He was telling the story a little bit about, because I knew they had some sort of like cross origins, were partially American, partially British, a little bit like Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, or like Fleetwood Mac in a way. But he was not actually like a British sort of. He wasn't like raised as a Brit, exactly. Because he totally speaks he's got an American, like a North American and United States accent. He was like an army brat, I guess. So, and that's how he met the other guys in America. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I would go see them again. I don't know, maybe. For the amount of money, was probably not. But I don't know. I guess it depends. I mean, I guess between seeing them and seeing Joe Jackson, if I knew it was going to be the Joe Jackson at a better venue, I wasn't really thrilled with going down to the Uptown Theater for that. I would prefer to see Joe Jackson at this point. However, Joe Jackson was like a co-headliner. I'd like to see if Joe Jackson comes back. He played the State, I think it was 2023, and I didn't go. I wish we would have. But yeah, I mean, it was good to see them at least once. And they do put on a good show, so I wasn't like disappointed in the show. I thought it was entertaining. They had a tight band. The bass player was awfully good. So yeah, and then when I redo my albums of the year list, I'm definitely gonna have to be including some. I got like this list of bands like them. We were talking about Level 42 in the Discord today, reminding a little bit of Toy Matinee. Them, who's the other one? And the Guess Who is another one of these bands that I need to like. I really want to invest some time. Like I want more time with like Steely Dan and even 10cc to some degree and Supertramp. Some of these bands that I know their records. ELO too. I know the records. I know a lot of their hits. And I'm getting more familiar with some of their full albums and deeper tracks. America is certainly one of them. Their first 3-4 records, especially their records. The self-titled in 70 was set in 70, and then Homecoming in 70 or 72. They had both of those in 72. So they're established in 70, but they didn't have the full-length album until 72. So you had the self-titled and Homecoming that came out in 72. If I'm not, if Wikipedia is correct. And you had Hat Trick in 73. I don't know, probably all the way up. Actually, they don't have that big of a catalog, so I would just go through their whole catalog. They have like 6 or 7 albums. Well, maybe 8. The one that had... No, they had more. They have more. I'd want to listen to the one that actually does have Can You Do Magic, at least. I think that might be from, because that was like 81 or 82. It might be either View from the Ground or Alibi. But kind of has like a moody blues 80s pastiche. That song, Sister Golden Hair, kind of reminds me of like George Harrison's, the song that was actually a cover, but off of it's almost like a slide guitar. It's not a slide guitar. That do 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 do. It sounds like he's bending the pitch and everything. So that's my review of America. Have you ever seen America live? A couple of people chiming in on Facebook said they have, and they're usually pretty good live. People want to see them on 4th of July. I'd love to hear your take. But yeah, they're worth seeing if you get the chance. This is the first night was tonight, so I don't know how many dates they're doing. Maybe 15, 20, 25 across the states. It would have been good to have it on 4th of July, but yeah, I mean, check them out if you can, obviously get for an affordable price, and but you get a pretty good full set, and they have a pretty good setup and everything like that, and so thumbs up on America. So thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.